Hi there. Today we're gonna tie an orange pike and musky fly. Orange is one of my all-time greatest, most favorite colors. It's very nice and very easy to see for the pikes and the muskies. We're gonna use a partridge universal predator size 4.0. A flyman shank. This is a big game shank, a very nice one for this, and then we're going to use some silicone tubing to ensure that the hook is exactly where I want it to be. I've not mounted this yet because I want you to see exactly what I'm doing. I took my silicone tubing, put it on the hook, and then I take the hook and put one part of the shank here into the eye. This is because further on, when this fly is done, I want to be able to fasten the hook so it's gonna stick like that. Good. Well, for now it's just gonna hang there. So I attach the shank in the vise here, and then just need to locate my thread. It was there, and then we're ready to go. Starting by applying a lot of thread to my shank here, because it's of utmost importance that you have a sound base of the tying thread to attach all your materials, because if you don't have that, your materials will not be fastened securely. Then I'm gonna take some of this microlon. Microlon is a fairly new material on the market. It's nice because these fibers are very light and very thin and move completely awesome in the water. So I'm taking a bundle of this just to begin with, to start the fly off, so to say. I'm gonna pull these out so they are uneven in length. Give it a bit of a shake. And then I'm gonna tie these down so they're gonna be all the way around the hook, like that. This is just to add a bit of life and a bit of vibrance to the fly from the beginning. Taking this the leftover, the spare material, and moving turning them here, turning them behind as well, fastening everything, and then you have kind of like the first start of the fly. Then we're going to take one of these new very cool colors of big fly fiber, and if you haven't seen these colors yet, then you definitely need to. They are so awesome. This is the color Sunrise, a mix of gold, a mix of yellow and orange. A very nice color. And Hedron has been so nice as to add some flash already. Of course, they're not added enough, but well, we can make do with what we have for the time being. We're gonna add a lot more to this fly. So I'm taking some of this Sunrise color big fly fiber here, fastening this securely on the shank here, applying some thread to make sure everything is where I want it to be, cutting off all of this here, like so. Just cutting. And then we're gonna get some flash material on here. And for this fly, I like the holographic. We're gonna start off with the holographic flashabou in the color magnum, in the color orange. Taking a fairly large bundle of this. This is probably my favorite flash material in the entire world. It is just truly amazing. It's completely cool colors, and it's 52 centimeters long, or 10 inches, and then it's wide, but it's still light, and it still moves great in the water. So this flash has everything you want in a flash material for pike and musky flies. I'm gonna tie this down so it's gonna be a bit on top of the shank here. I've secured this now. Then I'm gonna turn this over again to make sure that it's completely secured, but also because when you tie these large flies, what you don't need is to cut any leftover materials off. That would just be a waste of everyone's time and everyone's effort. So, as you can see, I have not cut a single strand of material off as of yet, and that is not a coincidence. That is simply something I calculate with and use. What you can do here is just make sure everything is where I want it. Just apply a bit of super glue to your fly here. It's a nice touch. Then we need an additional layer of the big fly fiber in Sunrise. We're going to tie this in a bit further up the shank here. Going to move a bit further up the shank. Again, I'm making sure that I have a sufficient base for my materials to rest on. Something that is, as I said, crucial to making your fly lasts, and what you want in flies of this type is you want them to last for more than just a single pike of 3 kilos or something like that. It's annoying to have a rather expensive, rather nice looking fly getting torn, getting bitten into pieces by a small annoying pike. You want these flies to last, and last for more than, let's say, to last for a lot of pikes. So make sure that you apply a lot of thread, and that you apply a lot of pressure as well. Pressure is a key element as well to getting this done as you want it to be like that. That looks very, very neat. Good. I'm gonna take some additional flash here. And again, I'm gonna take some of the very long magnum flashabou. Making sure that the lengths are uneven, and just applying this flash here. Like so. Now that is where I want it to be. Great. Then I'm gonna take a few strands of opal, mirrored opal lateral scales. This has a very shiny effect and will make your fly stand out even more than it already is. So I'm taking maybe 6 strands or something like that of this. I'm gonna try to distribute them all the way over the shank here, like so. Also tying in those in their full lengths is important. Cutting off all I have here that is not completely necessary for this fly. Like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a hackle now. We're going to do a hackle that is combined of flesh and of the microlon that we used in the beginning as well. So I'm going to take my thread here, and then I'm going to make a dubbing loop. Like so. As you can see, I now have a dubbing loop. I'm going to hang that off to the side here, and then I'm going to take my microlon, taking a fairly large bundle of this microlon here, and you can actually make these dubbing loops with this microlon. That is something that you don't see in many fibers, that they are actually able, that they are as how would you say, that they are as light and as soft and as thin as to be able to produce dubbing loops that actually make sense, because now when we do this, we're gonna get an enormously big hackle. We're gonna get a hackle that is something like 5 inches on each side, and it's gonna add a lot of bulk and a lot of volume to the fly. Something that is greatly wanted and greatly needed in big pike flies and big musky flies. I would say, hazard the guess, that this fly could probably be used for big game fishing, for maybe billfish. But then what you need to do if you want to adapt this pattern to something like that is you need to change the hook. The 4.0 universal predator hook from Partridge is not gonna cut it with let's say billfish, for instance. It's just not. So, as you can see, I've just mingled these two fibers, these two materials, the holographic orange flashabou and the microlon, into one another. I'm gonna put these inside my dubbing loop here, like this. And this is gonna give an awesome effect on the fly, I assure you. You'll see that in a second for yourself. So I'm just gonna distribute it evenly throughout this, through maybe a stretch of thread in about this size, this length, and here again, it's one of the key elements is you have a thread that is actually thick enough to be able to do this. If you have a too thin thread, then you can't spin your dubbing loop tightly enough to create the effect you want here, and what you will have is just a dubbing loop that won't be completely spun the way you want it and you need it to, because you need the dubbing loop to be tight, because you need all the fibers here to be interwoven between the two strands of tying thread that makes the loop. Because if these are not intertwined, then the strength of this hackle will be very little, and you will see as soon as you dip this fly in the water and the pike will attack it, the teeth of the pike will probably rip this hackle a bit to shreds in your hands, and that is kind of annoying, because the effects of a hackle like this is great, and really something any angler, any fly fisherman would appreciate, as long as it's done correctly. So make sure that the fibers are not caught inside the loop and are free. Just gonna spin it a bit more, I think. The thread I'm using here is the 8.0 Vivus, a very nice thread for this, but you could use Kevlar or something similar to that. That works as well. You should watch a bit out for Kevlar, because Kevlar is very smooth. And if you're using Kevlar to tie dubbing loops like this, then they can have a tendency to actually let the material slip out of the loop, because it's because of the smoothness of the thread, like that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a lot of saliva here to force my materials in the direction that I want them to be. You see, like this. I'm gonna force them to be in the direction I need them to be able to, so my hackle will be easier to turn. And as you can see now, I have a hackle that is above 5 inches long, and this is good. As I was saying, what's important when you're stripping most of these flies is not the actually stripping part. It's the breaks, where your fly just kind of like hangs there in the water. That is when you will get the most action, and when you will often see that pike will come and attack your fly. So it's important that your fly has a very nice profile and really works well, even when it's not actually being pulled. And I fish flies like this on a relatively slow slow pace, relatively slow pace, because the pikes like wounded prey, and you can get this fly to look like a wounded prey easily by letting it move slowly in the water. So far, so good. Next up is we're gonna take some ostrich plumes here, some ostrich feathers, and we're gonna tie these in again to add some vitality and some life to the fly. So I'm just gonna take from this XL ostrich feather. I'm just gonna take a few centimeters worth of ostrich hurls. Like that. Just gonna see if I can get all my materials here too. Trying to get them to be all the way around the shank here, and that actually looks, well, at least on my side it looks great. I hope it's the same on your side. If you don't have ostrich feathers like this, you can do another thing that is similar to this, and that is just to add a marabou hackle. A marabou works very similar to ostrich. The ostrich feathers I like particularly much, but if you don't have them or can't get the quality I have here, you can use a marabou hackle instead. Like that. And the final finishing touch on this fly is, if you have them, is some long grizzly orange saddle feathers. These will make your fly look great, and add some contrast to the rest of the pattern. So I'm gonna take maybe 4 or 5 of these feathers, distribute here. These I'm gonna tie in individually to make sure that I get them, that I place them exactly where I want them to be placed. So I'm gonna take one more. What the hell? There you go. And these I'm gonna cut off. So the second time I'm cutting something off this pattern. I'm gonna move the thread right there. And for the finishing touch of this, we're gonna take some ram's wool. Some ram's wool to make a nice head. This is ram's wool in the color fire orange, a nice color for patterns like this. And when we're done, we can attach one of a lot of different heads. There is a lot of different heads on the market, but for this fly, I'm gonna use a Pro soft head, something that is easy to work with and gives the right effect. You could also, I'm gonna show you in a second, of course, but you can also make your heads out of glue and stuff like that. But glue tends to make your flies, at least in my book, at least when you're using shanks and fairly large hooks as well, tend to make your flies a bit too heavy for my taste. A bit too heavy to cast, but also a bit too heavy, so they sink a lot. What I'm doing here is I'm taking a brush here, and I'm just going to brush the lower part of the sculpin wool, the ram's wool, to make sure that I've removed as much as possible of the under wool or the short part of the wool that I don't need for this fly. So I'm gonna take this, and then I'm gonna widen it out, stretch it out so it kind of like is a thin layer, but it's wide. Then I'm gonna take this and try as carefully as possible to make this come all the way around the head of the fly like this. I'm gonna fasten it with some thread here. Like so. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make my whip finish. Secure the thread, cut it off, and what you can do now, but you have to be a bit careful with that, is you can apply some super glue. I think the secure course here is gonna be to just add some bit of varnish. That's not as completely mad as the super glue. So now you have this, and it's pointing out in front of the fly. And why you want to do that is because you want all this material to be turned behind the fly, but you want your head, your soft head, or your I know that flymen make some nice heads. They're called fiskmasks as well. Some cool heads. You want your head to be the one that makes your hair stand out behind here. So here you have the fly almost done. The last thing you need to do is, of course, to apply a bit of super glue to the groove here, the dentation that is already prepared in this soft head, and then you need to attach your eye. I'm gonna do a silver eye on this one. Silver looks great with orange, like that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. And as I said, these pre-made heads are definite, in my book, definite improvement on the glue heads, because of course gluing your own head is nice, but it gives a lot of weight to your fly. So this is the easy way out, but it is an easy fix that makes a lot of sense. And I've had flies that have landed maybe 20-25 pikes on them with one of these heads, and these heads, of course, they get some holes and stuff like that, but they're not gonna be shredded by the pike's teeth. So here you have it, the big mean orange bastard, tied with all flashabou material, or well, almost all flashabou material. A very cool pattern that I've caught numerous big pike on. Well, those were the words. Remember to subscribe, and thank you for tuning in. Bye.